Hello, I'm Joshua Farnsworth. Welcome to the Wood and Shop Traditional Woodworking School. So the holiday season is upon us, and what better way is there to show that you care about someone than by giving them the gift that keeps on giving? A woodworking class, of course. So stay tuned and I'll tell you about our exciting new classes for 2020. This year at my school we have some exciting new classes from our amazing woodworking teachers, and I'd like to tell you about a few of them. So the new class that I'm probably most excited about is an introductory chair making class that'll be taught by David Ray Pine. Ray is a real amazing 18th century furniture reproductionist. And Ray in this class has chosen to use a modified 18th century style Chippendale chair, and he's modified it to make it easier for first-time chair makers. So you can see a link to this class and all other classes in the description below the video, somewhere down there. Ray will also be teaching a new class on carving classic 18th century fans and shelves. Like all of our classes, this one is open to students of all carving abilities or no carving abilities if that's you. And I'm excited about another new class that Ray will be teaching in 2020, and that's building an ingenious ratcheting table from colonial New England. This candle stand is made out of pine, and it'll teach you some really great hand tool skills. And Ray will also be teaching his class on making a dovetailed Moravian candle box, which is great for woodworkers who want to learn how to cut dovetails and frame and panel construction, among some other skills. And lastly, Ray will again be teaching his class on making a Moravian dovetailed footstool. It's a really charming little stool. In that class, students get to learn how to make the infamous angled dovetails. They also learn how to use a brace and bit, and they learn how to cut moldings with an antique molding plane. It's a really great class. Our expert hand tool making instructor, Tom Callista, will be back again this year to teach his very popular class on making a dovetail saw and a tenon saw. It's a really great two-day class. Tom will also be offering a couple of other new classes, including a class on building a really charming saw till to store all the hand saws that you've been buying over the years or that you will be buying over the upcoming years. This class will be offered back-to-back with Tom's dovetail saw making class for those of you who may want to take both classes and just want to make one trip. And Tom will also be teaching a class on making a nice wooden spoke shave. Next, we'll be having the Ellis brothers back to teach their very popular class on timber framing. That was a really fun class, a fun experience to see all the students get together to build a small building outside the school here. They'll also again be teaching their class on building a German shaving horse, which has been a really great class in the past. In that class, students get to have a great foundation for green woodworking and using a good variety of green woodworking tools. Bill Anderson, of course, will be back again to teach a bunch of his most popular classes again in 2020. First, he'll be teaching his class on restoring wooden hand planes. This is a clinic style class where students like you will bring their own hand planes into the school to work on. And throughout the class, they'll also learn a bunch of mini tutorials from Bill on different hand plane rehabbing skills. Bill will also be teaching a class again on building workbench fixtures. In this popular class, students will be building a joiner's mallet, 2 tri-squares, a straight edge, a pair of winding sticks, a donkey's ear for cutting miters on molding, a mitered bench hook, and a couple of other useful fixtures. Bill will also be teaching a couple one-day classes on using hand planes, including a hand plane skills class where students learn how to use, tune, sharpen, and refurbish both wooden and metal bench planes. The other one-day class is a really great class on using molding planes to cut hand-cut moldings. In this fun class, students learn how to tune and use dedicated molding planes, beading planes, and hollows and rounds to cut moldings for their furniture that they may be building. And for those who can't make it to this class, I've produced a video on the molding plane class called Choosing, Refurbishing, and Using Molding Planes with Bill Anderson. So these two one-day hand plane skills classes will also be held back to back for anyone who wants to take them both and just make one trip. Bill's most requested class is back again this year, a class on sharpening hand tools. So in this class, students bring their hand tools and they spend the first day learning to sharpen and tune their hand planes, their chisels, card scrapers, spoke shaves, and other edge tools like that. And then the second day is a detailed course on sharpening hand saws. As with most of our classes here at the school, this class gets woodworkers of all skill levels to come to it, from anywhere from complete novices all the way up to experts. So I can tell you anyone can learn a lot from Bill Anderson. We're honored to have Corey Lofton back again this year. For those of you who aren't familiar with Corey, he worked professionally with hand tools for 40 years in the Anthony Hayes cabinet shop at Colonial Williamsburg. He's made some stunning furniture over the years. This year, he'll again be teaching his introductory class on wood carving. In this two-day class, students learn how to sharpen carving gouges. They do some basic carving exercises, and then they move on to carving an 18th century style ball and claw foot. Dave Heller, our most energetic instructor, will be teaching his class on veneering and wood inlay again in 2020. But this year he's changed the project from a chessboard to a really nice keepsake box. He just wants to kind of switch it up. Mike Kundle will also be returning again this year to teach his green woodworking class. And the class focuses on learning to carve traditional Scandinavian wooden spoons and wooden bowls. But like our shaving horse class, it's also a really great class on the fundamentals of green woodworking. And last year, a brief portion of the class was focused on spoon carving, and most of the time was spent on bowl carving. But after some feedback from students last year, we've decided to stretch the class out to 3 days to give more time to focus on spoon carving and also more time for carving 2 different types of bowls. It'll be a lot easier pace in the class too. And of course, I'll also be teaching some classes again this year, including our most popular class here called Introduction to Hand Tool Woodworking. In this fundamentals class, students learn all about the fundamentals of woodworking with historical hand tools. And throughout the class, students learn how to use a lot of different types of hand tools. We start off with cutting rough lumber with both rip saws and crosscut saws. Then we move on to more refined cuts with dovetail saws and carcass saws for crosscuts. And a lot of students who've struggled cutting straight lines before have told me that this was probably the most valuable skill that they learned in this class. It helped them get much better at cutting dovetails and other joints. Then students learn how to square up a board with hand tools. This is where students get a lot of experience with using hand planes and marking tools and some other tools to get flat boards and square boards. The remainder of the class is spent learning to use various hand tools to cut really important furniture joints. This includes making joints like a mortise and tenon joint for a table leg, cutting dovetail joints by hand, plowing grooves with a plow plane, cutting a tongue and groove joint with different types of tongue and groove planes, making dado joints for building shelves, and cutting rabbets with moving Philister planes. Students also get to learn how to use a dedicated molding plane to cut a molding in this class. Well, I hope you go check out the classes on my website. I'll put the link right here. And I really hope to see you join us here at my school this year. If you click on the subscribe button below this video down there, you could be notified immediately when I release new videos. So to all my friends around the world, I want to wish you a very Merry Christmas, a Happy Hanukkah, a joyous Kwanzaa, and definitely a Happy New Year. If you're interested in woodworking with a mix of hand tools and power tools, visit my website at woodandshop.com, where you can find a bunch of free woodworking lessons, workshop tours of amazing woodworkers, and our very popular tool buying guides. Make sure you subscribe to my free newsletter and check out my 10 steps for getting started in woodworking. Enjoy!